Hey good people, it is Tashira from Politics and Fashion here today with my 10-step wellness plan. The older I get, the more I understand it is important to have these practices in place. And recently, y'all, I've had a tough time as far as mental health is concerned. And so I want to be vulnerable with you all today, and I want to share with you all a bit of my story, how I got here, and my plan to change things. If that sounds good to you, just keep watching. To be fully transparent, you all, I have struggled with high anxiety since I was a teenager. At that time, I didn't know what it was called, but I just knew that I was waking up in the middle of the night panicked. Heart rate was very rapid. I couldn't breathe. It's happened a few times. My mom took me to the doctor. They couldn't give me a diagnosis because, especially back then, I don't really think that your primary care physician was really giving advice around your mental health. Thankfully, that is changing. And so I just kind of went through the rest of high school and college struggling in this way. My anxiety tends to manifest as a pit, like a ball that gnaws in the bottom of my stomach. Some of you all may be able to relate. And it wasn't until actually my breast cancer diagnosis at 35 that I was first given a prescription for something that's called an SSRI. Now, I'm not going to get too deep into medication because that is something that is very personal. Definitely consult a physician if you think you are struggling with depression or anxiety. But for me, this medication was the first thing that made that feeling go away and allowed for me to focus and to be productive without feeling like I was missing something or I was running behind or like everything was going to fall apart if I wasn't able to achieve my goals. A lot of anxiety for me is like this fatalistic mindset that if I don't do the thing right now or if I haven't done the thing, then everything that I've been working so hard to build will just crumble. It's not true, but for anxious people, that is the way that our mind works. It can be something very simple that we have this very like doom and gloom mindset around. Since that time, you all, things have gotten much better. But also since that time, on the other side of healing from breast cancer and also beginning to work for myself as a full-time content creator and consultant, my stress has also risen. And as a result, there are days that are just very difficult for me, especially during stressful times. And I shared with you all that I felt like I was getting close to burnout. And that was back in July. I actually just rewatched a part of that video, ironically, and I said that to you all when I was at Swim Week. Fast forward to September and Fashion Week, and when I got back home, I just fell apart. There's no other way to describe it. And if you are subscribed to my newsletter, then I wrote about this very vulnerably. You've already heard this story. Many, many thanks to people who responded and wrote me very kind messages back. Everything fell apart. I think that the expectations that I had over myself were too high. I think that I was operating on very little sleep. I had a lot of stressors that were happening in my personal life outside of my brand. Things all congealed on top of, at that time, me not being on my medication. A different story for another day that I will be happy to share with you all about why I thought I was healed and didn't need my meds. That's not how it works, by the way. You should always titrate down if you are on an SSRI or an antidepressant. I started taking it. I thought, I'm fine. Well, I thought that I was fine because it was working. All of these things congealed together, and it ended up being one of the worst anxiety attacks I had ever had. And I don't want to ever feel that way again. It is unsustainable, and it also is counter to what I am building. While I can be transparent with you all about my mental health struggles, I also feel like I have the responsibility to work to address them. One is part of my own personal growth and development, but also I have this platform, and I want to be transparent with you all about it because my life is not perfect. And what I have found is that having a plan will always achieve some progress for me. I am an Aries. I feel like no problem exists without a solution. We're going to get to the bottom of this thing, okay? That's a bit of story time for me, but what's more important in this video is the plan that I have come up with, and I'm hoping that this is inspirational to you all. At some point, stop the video and start writing your own plan as well, and let me know down below what you would put on your list. And this part of the video is in partnership with my friends over at City Beauty. It is a company that is all about skin and body care. What I love about them as well is that they have great systems and treatments for those of us who are at a big age. And for me, there's nothing better than to wind down, probably on a Sunday is my self-care day, and to just really take the time to do a full body head to toe skincare routine. What I have been using lately and loving though is their retinol. Now, let me just say that when I turned 30, I had a horrible bout of acne that was along my jawline. I went to the dermatologist and they told me that the problem was hormonal and that many people in their early to mid 30s start to struggle with acne, specifically around their jawline. I got a prescription grade retinol and it cleared it up immediately. And ever since then, I have been team retinol. And this one I love because it is actually a two-step system. So the first step is their Restore Serum. You do this at night. By the way, you apply it to clean, dry skin. You let it fully absorb when you do step one. And then step two is the actual retinol serum. And let me show you actually what the pumps look like. Step one is on one side, step two is on the other side. My skincare includes retinol, y'all, because it is like the anti-aging elixir. And they say for people of a certain age, if you do want to decrease the production of fine lines and wrinkles, start off with retinol as soon as you feel like you're starting to see little peaks of aging come through. I definitely can attest to that. I mean, I'm not saying I don't look 41 because that feels like something you shouldn't say about yourself, but humility is a trait that I lack, and I know that it's giving fountain of youth over here. And retinol is one of the skincare products that I swear by. I also love City Beauty's Hydro Mask. It is a myth that oily skin does not need moisture. In fact, I think in some ways it needs more moisture. It's just about when you put it in your skin. I'm not going to do a very moisture-rich treatment in the morning and then put on a full face of makeup because for sure I'm going to be greased up like Popeye's chicken, the 2-piece spicy. But what I am going to do is treat my skin very well, like I said on that Sunday, during that Sunday routine. And I am going to do as many moisture enhancing products as possible. And sheet masks are just always made for a good time. You're luxuriating, okay? You have a towel around your head. I don't, I'm bald headed, but if I did, I would just kind of be laid back, towel around my head, my sheet mask on, and a glass of wine. Treat yourself well, okay? That is what this list is all about. The Line Smoothing Hydro Mask by City Beauty has in it ice plant extract, biocellulose mask material, and my favorite product, which is hyaluronic acid. This is known as the moisture molecule, this says, for its ability to hold 1,000 times its weight in water. Hyaluronic acid plumps the appearance of skin, so wrinkles look less noticeable. I am a big fan of hyaluronic acid, again, even though I have oily skin, because I've heard before that dry skin tends to wrinkle earlier than oily skin or very moisturized skin. And so, again, I love this mask for many reasons. It makes me feel rich. And it also helps to fight wrinkles because of that plumpness that the moisture is going to provide from hyaluronic acid. Those are my two top products from City Beauty, but they definitely have a plethora of products that stand out, like their body balms that I've been using and also additional serums. I will make sure that all their information is down below in the description box. Let's get into this 10-point list. The first one is to stop work by 7 p.m. Now, for me, there's something about working for myself, and let me know if other entrepreneurs can relate, that made me instantly work 10 times harder. I think people might think, well, I can make my own schedule, I can travel more, I'm doing what I love, and all of those things are true and they're definite benefits. But what you probably don't see on the other side is that entrepreneurs, especially solopreneurs like me, one-person entrepreneur, work so hard I work harder, longer hours, and more intensely than I ever did for anyone else. I am a terrible boss. I don't give myself no PTO. I barely get paid on time. Okay. And I will work literally from the point that my eyes open to my eyes closed. There's always something that can be done. I am a multi-channel creative, as many of us are becoming more and more. And if you think about it, back in the day, the kind of work that most of us are doing as content creators would have had to be outsourced to multiple people, right? To think that I'm sitting here filming myself, I'm about to go edit myself, I've done my own makeup, I've styled myself, I can place this video on YouTube myself, I'm then going to go promote it across multiple channels, possibly write about it in a newsletter or a blog post. I'm copy editing, I'm marketing, I'm the creative, I'm the talent. It's all of these things that go into producing content at a high level that I never knew. And I don't think I knew because there was no one to tell me, right? I started a blog back in the day. And so in many ways, influencers are shaping the modern economy. And as a result, what we have not become really clear about is what does a practical, meaningful, self-care driven schedule look like. And I know that was part of my overwhelm that I shared with you all, that led to my burnout and my anxiety attack. And so my biggest wellness practice now is to put guardrails around my work hours and to treat this job just like I was working for someone else, because I owe that to myself. And so since putting this part of my wellness plan in place, I have definitely stuck to it, and it feels so good. I definitely feel a greater release, and it has forced me to the second part of my wellness plan, which is to find a hobby. One of the reasons why I've been able to work so much is because I made my hobby my job. So the thing that I would do when I got off work and couldn't wait to get off work to do, which was create, I began to do full time. And I had not realized that it had completely consumed every aspect of my life. And so the second part of my plan is to find and enjoy a hobby. Now, I haven't found the hobby yet that is going to stick, but I've tried a few things and I've thought about others. One is bike riding, which I actually love. I love being outside a lot more than I think people probably would assume about me. I had hoped to do it a lot more frequently, but my travel schedule just made it difficult to develop a consistent practice. So I'm looking forward to when it warms up again this spring to jump back into it. I've thought about getting back into crocheting. That's something that I did a lot when I was in my 30s and my early 30s. But overall, the goal is to find something outside of fashion, because even shopping now, y'all, can be in service of the brand and therefore can be part of my job. Travel, which I love so tremendously. I tend to create vlogs, if you've noticed, around my travel. I post while I'm there. That can also be in service of the brand and work. It is so hard for me to say I'm not posting a thing when I travel, because I love y'all and I want to share, you know what I mean? And so in some ways it's positive because it does feel like a creative release, but in other ways, not so much, because I'm not truly taking time off. So let me know down below, what hobbies would you all recommend? I would love to hear from you, the things that you enjoy as well. But that is number 2 on my wellness plan list. Number 3 is physical activity daily. I have noticed even on days when I wake up with anxiety, the second I go work out, it makes me feel so much better. I have worked out for quite some time now. I've shared with you all the Future app. Many people have asked me about my workout routine and what I eat. I'll get there at some point. Right now, I just want to be as consistent with my healthy habits as possible before I start giving advice about what I do. But the Future app for me has been tremendous. I love the fact that I have an individual personal trainer who crafts the workouts based upon my needs. I will let you know down below what my Future link is, because if you use that link, you can get a free workout. So it wasn't until probably about a year ago, y'all, probably less than that if I'm being transparent, that I really understood the importance of physical activity for my wellness, number 1, but also for my mental health. And so I say physical activity because it might include walking poops. It might include going for a walk. It might include a high intensity HIIT workout. I don't want to not credit myself and not celebrate myself for moving in any way, especially if it's a way that I had not done before. Number 4 is therapy. You knew we were headed there. I made a commitment to get back into bi-weekly therapy and to not miss a visit. Even if I am traveling, I use something called BetterHelp. And using BetterHelp means that I can plug into my therapist wherever I am. I've talked to you all about BetterHelp before. If my code is still working, I will link it down below, because having a relationship with a therapist has changed my life. And I've known this for some time. I've done everything from very intensive like EDMR therapy to uncover some childhood trauma and to get past that. I've done talk therapy. And then over the summer, I did something that really was transformative that I talked about on the podcast before, called a PHP, or partial hospitalization program, which is intensive group therapy. And I went 3 times a week and came out on the other side feeling like, I don't want to be hyperbolic, y'all, but I was ready to do the work, and I got every single thing out of it that I could. So I came out on the other side of it feeling like a new person. And the things that I had worked so hard to heal and to address that I just could never really trust myself enough to dig into or to say aloud and talk therapy, there was something about being with the group that was life-changing for me. And I think it's this. My very good friend Joel has said to me, you may have heard me say this before on one platform or another, but he said to me one time, you go through the pain alone and you heal in community. And I needed to heal in community. And knowing my personality, I'm actually not really surprised about that. I remember going into the first session, and it was probably about 15 other people there. And you do like a, check-in, and you have these kind of prompts that you respond to. And I cried like a baby. It was such a tremendous release that I did not know I needed. And so, with the meds helping the anxiety, with the practices that I'm talking about today that I want to get more consistent in, and also with that program, there is something about my personal growth and development that I'm really, really proud of. And so if you have the benefit of going through a similar type program and it is covered by your insurance, I highly recommend it. The next component of my wellness plan is not to travel more than 2 times a month. This has been hard. It's been so hard because most of my travel is not for pleasure, you all. Like, I try to sometimes add a bit of like a fun component. For example, for Swim Week, that was for work, for politics and fashion, but I stayed in Miami for another week. And then for a few days, I went to Punta Cana. And so I was away from my home for 3 weeks, okay? That's a long time. And I travel like that very often. But what I've gotten better at is taking day trips, so forcing myself to catch a red eye in the last flight out, and to also try to kind of book in my travel with something else. And so it typically surrounds my consulting or my podcast, and I'm traveling the most for work these days. But also, obviously, there is Fashion Week twice a year. There's Swim Week in July. If I want to do those things, and I'm also filming a podcast, and I'm visiting home, I'm the only person that is this far north out of everyone in my family, I could literally be somewhere every single week. And I'm not talking about like grandiose Maldives vacations, just family members having events and checking in on my grandparents. And then you have the work trips and the consulting trips, and maybe I try to squeeze in a vacation that's just for me. It can be completely consuming. And I love travel, but what I realize it does is it takes away all of these healthy habits that I'm trying to put into place. It's just too difficult to eat well, to sleep well, to rest properly, and to be on the road this much. And so I'm looking forward to like bringing the travel down. The next item on my wellness plan is to work Monday through Friday only. I think when I work on the weekends, I always tell myself that I'll take a day off during the week, but I never do. And wanting to enjoy family and friends means that I want to be available on the weekends. That's something that I am prepared at this point to privilege and to also sacrifice if I have to, y'all. Because I've stopped posting videos on Sunday. You may have noticed this. Once I did that, I did notice a dip in my analytics because I think a lot of people are very active on YouTube on Sundays. I love to watch Sunday uploads, but I'm just not willing to work on a Sunday any longer. And here's the thing about it. I know that I can pre-schedule a video, but it's so important to know myself because even if I schedule the video to go live, I'm still going to be checking the comments and the analytics. It's just how my brain works. I am a classic overachiever, and so I have to figure out how can I protect myself from what is my natural impulse to do the most, okay? I can't work on Sunday. Monday through Friday it is. You will get YouTube content on Wednesdays and Fridays. And if it's Vlogmas or if it's at a time when I'm trying to kind of ratchet up my YouTube production, you might get videos Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but no more Sunday uploads. Also, no more checking emails on the weekends. I am completely divorced from it all. I am going to live my best life and to really settle into better wellness practices on the weekend. And so far, it's been working well. And the next is to dig deep into my journaling practice. I mean, it is one of the most important things I think that I have used as a tool in my personal development since I was a very young person. And I find that times when I'm off, I'm off. If I have not been journaling, if I have not been reading and pouring into myself first thing in the morning, other things like a domino effect are also falling off. You all may feel this way about your spiritual practice, reading, meditating, praying, etc. in the morning. It definitely sets the tone for the day. It does in my case, and it may in yours as well. And so I have set a goal of at least 5 days a week, making sure I'm meeting that metric. The busier I get, the more haphazard it gets. And it's just not a practice that I'm willing to let go of anymore. Everything else is just going to have to wait. I woke up this morning, I was on a deadline for a brand, but the first thing I did was write a gratitude list. I didn't jump behind my computer to edit. I didn't send a whole bunch of emails. 5 things that I'm grateful for. And then I read a resource that I've been loving. It's like a daily devotional or daily meditations by a woman named Marianne Williamson. I will link it down below because it's very short passages that give you something to reflect on for the day. Spiritual practice, and I love all of the kind of metaphysical new age religion resources, most of them. Some of them are a little too woo-woo even for me. But Marianne Williamson and that part of her work is something that I appreciate. And so journaling, free writing, gratitude list, responding to a prompt that I read again in a devotional book, I feel like grounds me for the day, and it's a wellness practice that I love. The other thing is to ensure that I'm taking solo trips. And not solo trips for work, but solo trips truly for me. I have never been to Charleston, South Carolina. I've never been anywhere in Arizona. I've been saying for years I want to go to Big Sur, California. I'm not talking about taking a 2-week trip to Paris here, y'all. Treating myself well and kindly and treating myself to new experiences is a big part of this plan, because again, going back to me trying to pour into a hobby and also finding a way to reclaim travel for myself, I think this is really important. And the last thing on my wellness plan, y'all, is to say no to opportunities that do not serve me. This is hard. It is hard because I will know something is not good for me. I will know I don't need to take that trip. I will know I don't need to say yes to that brand deal. I'm already overextended. I will know, but I will still do. I will still force myself to do something that is against my own interests because I feel like if I can't do it all, then I must be weak. Which is this twisted mindset, partly informed by capitalism. I think also partly informed by where I'm from. And I have seen the results of hard work. But it doesn't mean we work hard and we work in service of other people, other things, of money, of the bag, and we forget ourselves. There's a balance there that I'm still trying to work out. And it may be saying no to responding to any more comments for the day. It may be saying no to showing up for that thing with my family because I've traveled too much for the month. It may be saying no to the brand deal because there are too many deliverables. Saying no to things that don't serve me can look a myriad of ways, but I think what's harder for me than saying no is being clear, disciplined, and principled about what serves me. That's the work. Shundo. That is the work that I need to get clear on, because I think if I understood that unequivocally, then it would be difficult to get me to operate outside of my highest self. And so that is part of my wellness plan that I also want to think very critically and deeply about, and to implement as many boundaries and strategies as necessary to protect myself. That is it, y'all. I hope you have enjoyed this little chit chat. I used to write a lot, and so this kind of feels like a verbal blog post, and that I shared with you all of the ruminations that I have had recently. And again, I hope that it is inspirational in some ways. You know, I am an oversharer by nature, but I'm also someone who leans into my vulnerability because I think it is a courageous thing to do. You were assigned this mountain to show other people that it can be moved. And so I would be so selfish to go through my struggles and my pain alone. It is my responsibility, I believe, to share. And that's just the way that my spiritual practice is set up. And why it is that I want to share with you, not just all the glitz, the glamour, but also the struggles and the pain sometimes too. And so again, I hope it has been helpful to you. Let me know down below, girl, what's your wellness plan? I need to know right now, what are you putting into place we can hold each other accountable? In the meantime, make sure you are following me all across the internet, and I will see you good people in the next video. Peace.